What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today I wanted to make a quick video of some tips for people who are either new to Guilty Gear Strive or are coming back to Guilty Gear Strive with Season 2. So last year this was a brand new fighting game, but with the Season 2 patch, we've been playing basically for about a year now, and I wanted to share some things that would help, again, both new players and people who are coming back. So for tip number one, I wanted to start with Roman cancel do's and don'ts. So if you don't know what Roman canceling is, when you have 50 meters, so half a bar, so if you're looking at the bottom here, you'll see that I have a tension gauge. So for half of that bar, we can press 3 attack buttons and get this cancel that causes a shockwave. So there are actually 5 types. I have a video about this in the description below, so you can have a more thorough understanding. Here I'm just going to give you a couple of specific things that I would find very helpful for just hopping back in. So one, you can use the meter to combo out of things you can't normally combo out of. The one I would probably recommend quickly would be Dust. This is Tap Dust. So this is a very fast overhead that everybody has. And you can cancel this for 50 meter into a combo. Now, how worth it this is going to be and when you're going to do this, I would probably do this around when they're about to lose the round. And some characters might not even need to spend meter on this. So there's some characters like say Milia who have really strong options for 50 meter they could use. So for example, it would be of course bad mode. So that is the 236 core circle forward in the air, down low to the ground so it hits as an instant overhead. For 50 meter, instead of getting just the normal little knockdown here, I'll get a combo instead. Now for meter don't. So if you press 3 buttons in block stun, you'll do a YRC. So this gets the opponent off you. It's like a guard cancel. You'll be plus 10 and you cause a guard crush. Now while this is good, the main issue is that you have a meter penalty, so you won't get meter back very quickly. So to compare real quick, if I did Bad Moon into Red Roman cancel, this is how long it'll take for me to get my meter back. It's not very long. See, I'm getting meter already. Where if I spend it on YRC, have some patience by the way, if you want to hit the like button or something during this, then by all means, because this actually takes quite a long time. There you go. So YRC is strong, but you don't want to just do it because you're going to have a really long meter penalty. So when should you use YRC? So here's a good example. So this same string, I picked this string because it's not really a threatening string from Giovanna. This is just her going through a chain into special move. So here, though, she only has about 5% life. So putting her into a plus 10 guard crush, where all she could do, where she has very few options, honestly. And then pushing her offense here is going to be really good because who cares about getting meter back if you just win the round, right? So here would be another example of where you might want to use YRC. So this is actually a 50-50 setup. So you can go high or low off this with Giovanna. So once you start recognizing these, if you have meter, you can use your meter to get out of situations like this. So here's an example of a sloppily executed Zato string here of him going for multiple mix-ups. You know how he does, right? So one solution to this is actually spending your meter because you'll be able to kill Eddie and Zato at the same time. So I'll just do it right here and goodbye. So tip number 2 is about button inputs and how you actually press buttons in the game. This is actually one I really try to push a lot because people definitely struggle with this. It can be hard to punish people doing this, but at least if you do this, you can protect yourself. So in particular, it's making sure that you press buttons in a way that if you miss attacks, more things don't come out unless you want them to. So a really common example, I have Milia, and you all know Milia likes doing 2K2D. This is a very common thing. On block, I can go into this, and on hit, I get this. Now the thing is though, if you look at my virtual controller on the top, you can see I'm hitting Dust at the same time no matter what. But because nothing is connecting, my sweep will not come out. Where here, it'll come out all the time. So I'm not doing this, which is what I see a lot of people do. I'm doing this instead. So I'm doing it like this because one, I know what I want already when I press the 2K. I want to do 2K2D, so I can input it like that. And two, if my 2K whiffs, I'm pressing the sweep, I don't see the sweep come out, and I can make another choice. Millia is really fast, so you can air dash out of this, or you can back dash out of this, or maybe you just wait. There's a bunch of things you can do. So I'll do it with the CPU too here. So she'll only do 5H on whiff. This is a pretty strong move that advances, and eventually she's going to connect because she keeps advancing, and boom. It only comes out when I block or get hit. So tip number 3 is about a way of thinking about neutral. So a lot of new players, they only consider it a win when they hit you. So let's say straight up, oh, I hit you, cool, I'm winning. But I think it'll help you if you think about lesser states as well. So hitting somebody is like the highest return you can get in the fighting game in general. That means you did something really correct, you're getting rewarded with damage, and you're getting closer to winning the game. But that's winning neutral with a capital W, right? So like, let's say I anti-air this. I won neutral with a capital W. I get to do like just whatever mix-up I want. This is a really good situation for me. But making someone block something is actually winning neutral also, especially depending on what button you made them block. You're not getting a combo, a capital W, but it's a lowercase w. You get to move from neutral to offense. Many characters in Guilty Gear have offensive plans that are kind of hard to deal with, so getting your opponent to block is definitely a good thing. So tip number 4, we're going to go back to meter a little bit. You should use your meter. You should really use your meter. So in this version of Guilty Gear, compared to the previous versions of Guilty Gear, it costs more to do actions with Roman cancel. It costs 50, where in Exerd and XX you have 25 meter options. And the characters generally have less tools compared to previous versions. So this is a theme in all Guilty Gear games, but your character is way stronger with meter, so you should definitely use the meter. While I mentioned this before, that with meter, I get a combo off this. That's if it hits, right? So if I spend my meter here, I get a unique routing that I don't get normally. So the combo looks the same, but my opponent is higher, so I get to time my mix-up differently and make it tricky in a different way. But also, if they block, I have the opportunity to continue my offense with another mix-up. So if you combine this with the previous step of, oh, you know, I didn't hit you necessarily neutral, I pulled up somehow. Now, because I made them block this and I had meter, I have a very strong advantage I can use in my favor. There are a ton of tricky things you can do on offense with meter, and sometimes I play people and they really just sit on it. I'm like, wow, okay, I guess they don't want to hit me. Which leads me to the next tip, which is a little bit more subtle. So we're going to talk about meter usage in the corner. This is a hard mistake to fix, to be fair. And this is actually a mistake I made for a very long time in this game, so don't blame yourself for this. We're going to use Bad Moon again as an example. But this time, let's say I hit my opponent with a full combo. I don't like Millia's wall break situation, so I stay near the wall. So here, I'm going to be one hit away from breaking the wall. Then, after setting this up, I go for a mix-up right away. Okay, get my fat combo. Oh, wait. So the problem here is essentially, I already did a ton of damage to the wall. Because I'm spending 50 meter on a mix-up to break the wall, I'm spending a really big resource to not get a lot of return. The main thing I'm getting is positive bonus. So again, so here I get an additional 95 damage. It's still a lot of damage, but I'm like down on meter that I would have. I didn't get a big return. So this is just about being aware of what type of selections you might want to pick. So what are the solutions to this, right? So here I actually prefer to push strike throw a little bit more because a throw does not break the wall. And this actually lets me continue to push my turn, and I choose to break the wall when I want to break the wall. So basically here, just is a little bit more subtle. You don't want to just break the wall ASAP. You want to think about how much HP you have, how much meter you want to have. If they're defending you really well after you do a lot of damage near the wall, then there's a good opportunity to use the meter. You'll have to think about this one for your character. If you're a strike throw character, then you'll have to think about this a different way because you'll be thinking about throw and throw plus meter. If you're using like 50-50 high-lows like Biken or Millia, you might want to think about this as well. So for my second to last tip, it's about when to use 6P and how to beat 6P. So honestly, I actually think this deserves its own video too, because I see quite a few people who are new to Guilty Gear complain about 6Ps in this game. So 6P, this is your forward punch. This is a move that's invincible above the waist generally. Some characters have it above the knee. And this move has a twofold purpose. So purpose number one is to anti-air and anti-air reliably. Millia has actually a very, very good 6P, so you could do it quite late and still get away with it. Geo's, well, hers is pretty good, hers is pretty slow also, so it can sometimes be hard against some characters to 6P them. The other purpose of 6P is to deal with very strong ground pokes, because most far-reaching ground pokes hit at the waist or above. Knowing what we know now about 6P, how do we deal with 6Ps? There's a couple ways you can do it. One is by making them whiff. So either by waiting on the ground, or by stalling them out in the air, or by doing something that it will just get you out the way. Two is by using low pokes. So I can use my 2S, my crouching slash, or my sweep. And you'll get a big return because you'll probably get a counter hit here. 2Ks work well, but you might have to get really close. 3 is with something persistent. So this is definitely going to be a character-specific interaction, but sometimes you can use moves like S-Disc or like mid-range kind of projectiles to deal with this. And the last one is actually straight up blocking it. So a lot of characters have quite disadvantageous 6Ps. So Giovanna's is -9, Millia's I think is like -11 or something. And also after you block a 6P, their only option is special cancel. So for example, all Gio can do after her 6P is 2-1-4 kick. This is her block string ender. Or she could do her flip kick with 2-1-4S. Or she could do the arrow. She could do supers as well, but hey, if they do that, hey. So when do you use 6P? So example 1, of course, would be as an anti-air. Especially air dash in this game. A bunch of characters have slower air dashes in this game than previous Guilty Gears, so it should be easier to 6P them than before. 2, as I mentioned before, is a ground poke to beat certain moves that hit at the waist or above. And 3, sometimes in pressure. So if you think something is going to come that's a little slow that hits above the waist, you can use your 6P and use that to get out. Keep in mind your opponent can change their pressure to compensate. So essentially 6P is a pretty flexible tool, but also has clear weaknesses too. So if your opponent is using a lot of 6P, keep these in mind. And then the last one is, when is it your turn? This is a question I got asked quite a bit when the game came out. When is it my turn? When can I do stuff? When can I press buttons after my opponent attacks me? So there's a twofold answer to this. So the ideal is that you actually learn what the character does to you so that you could pick your spots in an educated manner and make it hard for them to open you up, but that takes a lot of time and experience. So I'm going to share a couple things that will help you at least get a general idea of when you can move. So some quick rules. You might remember just now that I mentioned that 6P doesn't have a lot of options, right? So that's thing to pay attention to. Number 1, all characters 6P can't be canceled into other normals, and they can only be canceled into special moves. So again, for Geo, it's this, or this. Millia has a pretty limited option set here too, so this is her safe ender, so she actually can be safe after this, but she has this as an option, this as an option, which is extremely punishable. This is death, basically, if I do that. And H-Disc, which is currently also death if I do that. So 6P and also 6H, they are only special cancelable, nothing else. So number 2, a lot of characters have like a safe block string out they can use. So for Geo, if you played against Geo in the tower at all, you're familiar with this style string. So the later this goes, the less options she has, but we're paying attention to 2 moves in particular, 5H and 2-1-4K. So why? So 5H is like 6P and 6H, where once you do 5H, you basically have no normal cancel options at all. Can't really do anything, can't jump, can't do anything. The only thing I could do, again, is special cancel. So special cancel options again, 2-3-6K, and 2-4S. Then we pay attention to special 2 because in the case that you decided to do nothing after this and they go into a special move, if they go into this and you block it, it is her turn. And same with this. Here you can gamble a little bit, but this one in particular is the one we want to talk about because this is a disadvantage special move. It's -4. So a lot of characters actually have these kind of slight minus special moves, and this is a time where you guys can both guess. So Million, for example, has a similar string where they do like this. So she's -5, she's pushed out here. So she can try to take her turn back, but she's at a disadvantage, so you can't do something. Many characters in the game have block string enders like this, so this is a very clear time you can take your turn back. Both the 5H, where they could do a special move, but they can't do normals, and the special move itself that leads them disadvantage. Another time it could be your turn is after pushing your opponent out. So let's say your opponent uses a block string like this. So what is the point of this? Giovanna wants to get to her ideal range, which is around here to play, where the dash throw and very high return pokes are. So she's going to use this to push herself out. So we're going to do two things at the same time. We're going to use Faultless Defense by holding 2 buttons down. This pushes the opponent further away. And then once they're really far, we'll introduce jumps, air dashes, and things like that. Just mixing things up after we push them out. That's a chance for us to interact with the opponent. We could choose to wait, we could choose to press a button, we could choose to jump, we could just choose to do something once they're at a safe distance and waiting for us to do something. But okay, hopefully some of these helped. I tried to think of ones I don't normally say, like make sure you learn all your combos and use Faultless Defense. Again, I have a link in the description below to the video on how to use roaming cancel. If you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.